You know, you gotta love it when bad things happen to bad people. You kind of just pray on people's downfall, and when their downfall actually arrives, you just think that the world's all gonna work out and everything's gonna be good. And who I'm talking about today is another internet loser who makes their entire internet personality about having these like terrible takes and these terribly hot takes that no one really thinks are good, and effectively just starring up against like the anti woke crowd or like the anti everything that's good crowd. And so our story today starts with these three tweets from everyone's favorite loser, Chibi Reviews. So right here we have just three tweets. I want to die. Delete the post of my hospital armband to clarify I'm fine and was discharged. So, he obviously was in the hospital. And then finally, just lost my fiance, my best friend, and my entire friend group in 24 hours. Never been more alone right now. And so I know you're wondering, well, why is it a good thing that this stuff happened to this guy? But first, I want to talk about basically what happened with Chibi Reviews. Apparently, his girlfriend or his wife actually cheated on him, and all of his friends and his friends group just kind of fucked off in support of the wife. And so obviously, Buddy's not having a good time. Buddy's not doing it, great, and not really enjoying life right now. But if you're wondering, well, why should we celebrate these terrible things that happened to this guy? And I'm going to show a tweet that kind of just basically shows you who we're dealing with right now. And it's not like I'm pulling this tweet from like the coffin of what this man used to be, and just like finding an ancient thing from like 2014. This post was posted on February 7th, 2026. So this is up to date representation of who this person is. So here we go. First thing of his filter post: a fictional incest is hot. Okay, what the fuck are you talking about? Two, lollies are a body type, the ones where they look like children. So we have now incest and pedophilia. Immediately, drawings aren't real. And that's the third thing that people use to justify them thinking that children are hot. Then obviously, if you think fiction is very schizo, like I don't know what the fuck that's supposed to mean. And then obviously these next two are saying, hey, you can say these words. I have a speech impediment. I don't know how the speech impediment has anything to do with any of these six things that you listed here. Anime and manga are inherently political. You're fucking stupid if you think that way. Like, big one is Jujutsu Kaisen. We're gonna get an episode legitimately in 2 weeks. It's about a massive critique of the Japanese justice system, and also Akari and Kirara, who are like two new characters that everyone likes, are a criticism of just hardline conservative values. Another pedophilia thing is you like Shotokan, MILF Doujin. I know like Shotokans are just the lollies of men, or like they're little boys instead of little girls. And then like the rest of it's kind of just like completely like random bullshit that like sure might actually fit a filter thing. He does say like some weird things about his wife, like or his fiance Gunette. I guess they didn't even get like married before she cheated on him. But as you can see, terrible person with terrible views, pedophile basically, thinking that lollies are hot or lollies are a body type, and like justifying people thinking that children are hot, and also saying that incest is hot too. We have a an interesting character on our hands. We have someone who you like to beat with sticks on our hands, just to prove a point. Put him in a hole, throw peanuts on him, and treat him like an animal. And then we also have like another recap tweet here of like what is going on with Chibi Reviews, and it brings up another point about Chibi Reviews, and that he's also just a shit person to his fans. So once again, Loudly his girlfriend cheated on him. His entire friend group left him because they followed his girlfriend or fiance or wife or whatever she is instead of hanging out with them. Into incest, of course. Scammed his viewers for 20K. Apparently, he was, working on some legal fees to sue people and like protect himself, and then just didn't do it and scammed his fans out of all the money they donated to him to try to like support this legal battle. And then, of course, Tectone is his only supporter. Tectone gave his unending and loving support to Chibi Reviews. And if we once again know who Tectone is, he was found liable of sexual assault in a civil case, and then blamed the civil case on it being only a vibe check and not based on any of the evidence that it actually was there that proved that he was liable for sexual assault. So of course he's getting clowned online, for just his entire take on the situation. His friends only hung around him because they thought his wife was hot. That's kind of what we're getting right now. This is just him making the video saying everything that's happened. This is where everyone's getting all the information from, of just how tragic life has come out to be for him. And then another thing too that is interesting about this character that kind of goes to like the pedophilia thing is his support for this game. Now I don't really know too much about this game. It kind of looks like a Dark Souls knockoff from the view of it, but from what I've seen and like in the research that I've done, there are some very questionable relationships and imagery that you can have that involve minors, being involved in sexual acts. from what I understand. And so him running flack and press for this is just kind of interesting, considering the fact that once again he said that lollies are a body type, and also talked about being a Shotokan or like having a Shotokan be there. And then you go on and say this game's getting too much hate when it has kind of that stuff on it. Like you just are becoming more and more like everyone should just call you a pedophile. And once again, beat with sticks and throw you in a pit and throw peanuts at you like the animal you are. And so, like, if anyone wants to like see a fun little thing about his entire YouTube career, this motherfucker is a poster. He posts like once or twice a day for a long time. And so, if we just scroll down here while I'm talking, you're not gonna believe what type of content he makes. If you had to guess, does he make anime reviews? Questionably reviewing, but a lot of it is just saying we gotta protect the Japanese hegemony. We gotta make sure that Japan's culture is protected from the Western influence. And he also obviously makes anti-woke. I think I've seen some posts of him like, protecting Asmongold or supporting Asmongold. And once again, Asmongold, absolute loser goober who just is the biggest right-wing grifter of our generation, probably behind, Charlie Kirk. And so, like, yeah. And a thing about Charlie Kirk, too, that, I kind of want to talk about is that people are calling him the anime version of Charlie Kirk. Because, once again, he's an absolutely dogshit person. And then people go on and just say how his wife also kind of left him and is kind of flaunting everything. But an interesting development that, this is a new situation. It's developing. We're getting a bunch of new stuff and new information. And from what I've been seeing, there are some rumblings in the bushes that his wife actually might be a worse person than him, thus completing the anime Charlie Kirk comparison. Because once again, if she just goes on the grift more and harder and come out and say I was Chibi Review's fiance, and then this is what I believe, we have kind of completed the entire circle. Like, obviously, I came on strong saying, hey, we should hate on this person's downfall. And then coming out and, like, showing, like, him kind of having a mental breakdown. And then, it looked like I was absolutely insane. But I hope that, me showing for the uninformed who this absolutely terrible human being was. It kind of makes you not celebrate, but, you kind of look at it with some sort of satisfaction that bad things are happening to a terrible person. A guy who, once again, says incest is hot and defends pedophilia. It's kind of interesting how, these people gain traction, gain a lot of support. But, like, he has been on the internet for such a long time, and he's just been one of the biggest losers on the internet for such a long time. And I'm kind of glad that his entire downfall is happening. Also, once again, he does do the stupid, like, we must fight back the woke. We must protect Japan from the woke. We must make sure that everything in the world is not woke. Like, you're a loser. You suck. You're terrible. And, like, I cannot believe that you are able to look yourself in the mirror, having a career based out of all this. It's kind of like the Rev Says Desu thing where, like, at least, Rev Says Desu has a wife, I guess, at least he's still in a relationship. But it's kind of like, they're kind of like the yin and, I was going to say the yin and yang, but, like, that means that they have to be good at some point. They kind of just complimentaries to the whole just being a dogshit human being. Because while Rev Says Desu is like more brazen on the anti like LGBT stuff and like all that tomfoolery, Chibi Reviews is more on the pedophilia protection party stuff and also the incest stuff. So with those two powers combined, they can make one real epitome of what it means to be a right wing grifter. And so obviously, I'm kind of happy and hope that this kind of ends Chibi Reviews' influence online. Will it? No, probably not. Whoever has gotten canceled on the internet, it's kind of really hard to do it. If you get canceled, what do? You just say it's woke, and that's why you're getting canceled. So, ideally, everyone is able to look at G reviews, point and laugh at the fact that he once again protects pedophilia or defends it, and also says incest is hot. What the fuck are you doing? I'm sorry, that is just shocking. Like, I cannot get over that. I'm sorry that I'm like kind of just going on this point over again. What the fuck do you mean? What are you talking about? What the? It's shocking to me. It's shocking to me that this is someone who has any sort of influence at all in any way. But like, I cannot get past this point. It is stuck with me. I'm repeating myself over and over again. It still knocks me into just thinking this over and over again. And so, if there's any tweet to send us off with on the Chibi Reviews train, we gotta just keep this one and let it settle down with you. All right, there you go. If there's any just like summary of who we're dealing with here, we just gotta look at this, and there you go. So remember Chibi Reviews in your heart with hate, and make sure that if you ever see someone like it, you also hate them too, because it starts with this, this weird bullshit tweeting, and it ends with whatever the fuck Chibi Reviews is advocating for. That's really all. Also, I didn't even realize. Completely before I end. This is on the same day where you said incest is hot. What the fuck? This is 4 hours after you said it too. But yeah, so I don't really know. Once again, if there's anything to remember him by, look at this tweet and just think about if he's a person who's worth your time. And you should come to the conclusion that the answer is no, he's not worth your time, and you should spend a lot less time interacting with him than I did. And even though I didn't respond to any of his tweets, I had to look at his fucking account for as long as I did. And I do my research. I don't know if you noticed the cheap reviews of racism one, because I had to make sure if he had any racism claims too, because, who would be surprised if he did. The results inconclusive on that part, so I will give it to him. We cannot just immediately find any racism claims. But other than that, not too hot for the Chibi Reviews PR team. But that's really all I got for today, so thank you for watching. Goodbye. Here's to the ones that we got. Here's to the wish you were here, but you're not, because the drinks bring back all the memories of everything we've been through. Toast to the ones here today. Toast to the ones that we lost on the way, because the drinks bring back all the memories. And the memories bring back you. There's a time that I remember when I didn't know no pain, when I believed in forever. Everything would stay the same. Now my head feel like December when somebody say your name, 'cause I can't reach out to call you.